So I'm Ellen Lumpkin Brown, and I'm the owner of Sew It Workshop. And I'm excited to show you another fun project today. This is the credit card holder. Okay, we're going to sew it by hand. And I use this all the time. In fact, I was thinking, oh, I should have washed it because it's a little grimy, but everything fits in there really nice.
No, she can't reach
it. And then it has a piece of elastic that holds everything together. Okay, so what I'll do is go over all of the supplies and everything. There's not very much that you actually need to make this project. And then I also want you to know that there will be these illustrated instructions that I will be sending to the library right after this. It walks you through all of the steps that I'm going to demonstrate this morning so that you can have this as well, along with the video of the workshop to make your own. So what I like to do is usually go through the whole process of making it and ask you to just watch the demonstration. If you want to go along, you know, that's fine too, but I might be going a little bit, I might have some steps that are demonstrated but completed already. So I wouldn't want you to feel like you were trying to keep up and and had trouble. So you can just watch, and please interrupt if there's any question or something that wasn't clear or something you couldn't see. I can put the, the project closer to the camera. All of that is fine. And I think with that background, let me get started on what you need. I know that you all have, or many of you have kits from the library. But just in case you don't, I'll go through the different things that you'll need to make this project. Okay, you need 3 pieces of fabric. They can be different pieces or they can all be the same. It doesn't matter, and I'm going to show you how to cut them. So I think you have 1 piece, but you can cut it into the pieces that we need. Okay, so I'm going to use this for my little pockets. I'm going to use this one for the outside of the holder, and this is going to be the inside of it. Okay, and that'll make it easier also for you to sort of see what's going on with the 3 different pieces. Okay, and then you'll also have something, this is a little piece of white stiff fabric, and this is called interfacing, and it gives the holder a little bit of extra shape. Okay. You'll need some embroidery floss or regular thread. It's okay. And a needle. Okay. And I like to use the ones with the long eye like that because they're easier to thread. But certainly if you have embroidery floss, you'll need one with a bigger eye like that. And let's see, I think, oh, and you need a piece of elastic. This one has 2 sides to it, which I'm also using so that you can really see how the holder's put together. But if yours is the same on both sides, that's fine too, or it'll all work. And then just a few pins if you have them. They're helpful. You don't have to have them. I'll show you how to make it without it, but I'll also show you how to use them if you do, and you can get these anywhere. You can get them at the drugstore. They don't have to have this yellow tip. They can just be all silver. Is fine. Okay, and that's really everything. So, oh, one more thing is a ruler. Okay, so if you have a ruler, that will help too.
Grab a ruler.
Okay, great. So I'm going to put the camera down now. You'll see my work surface, and we will start.
Before you get started, can you review how to do threading the needle? Those little, you did something, one of the instructions that showed us how to thread the needle a little bit easier.
Yeah, I'll show you as soon as we get to that point. Okay,
thank you.
Don't worry. Yeah, great. Okay, so I'm going to put the camera down. And there's my work surface. Okay, I always forget something. So the other thing that you need is something to mark your fabric with. It can be a pen, a pencil, anything. I'm going to use this big Sharpie, but that's just so you can see it. So, you know, don't get anything special, just a pen or a pencil will do. Okay, so the first thing that we'll do is cut out our fabric. And remember I said this is going to be my inside fabric, which for the model is this one here. Okay, and then I'm also going to get the outside fabric. Here I'm just stacking these on top of each other. And the interfacing. Okay, and we're going to cut these out all at one time. And these need to be 6 inches by 4.5 inches. Okay, so that's why I've got the ruler. Let me try and do it this way so that you can see. Okay, so 4.5 inches is going to be right there. I'm sorry, right there. So 4.5 inches this way. And then 6 inches. Try and turn so you can see. Here we go. 6 inches this way. And I'm just going to make a little rectangle and then cut this out. 4.5 and 6. Okay. And then if you have some pens, it can be helpful to just take a pen, and this is the sharp part. This part's not sharp at all, right? So you take the sharp part, put it through so it goes through all of the layers, right? And then bring it up so that you see the head of the pen and the tip of the pen. Okay, and that will hold everything together nicely so you don't have to worry about it shifting around while you cut. And then you'll just get your scissors and cut along the lines that you drew. Okay, and just, you know, close is close enough. Don't worry about being exact. Okay, just like that. So then you've got your inside piece, your outside piece, and your interfacing all cut at once. And then you can put that to one side and grab your pocket fabric. Okay, and I'm just going to fold this in half because of the size of it. Here we're going to cut us 2 squares, one for each one of those little pocket pieces. So one for this one and one for this one. And those are going to be 4.5 inches on each side. So grab the ruler again. Trying to make sure that this is facing you so you can really see it. Okay, there's my 4.5 right there. And don't worry at all if you are using something like a Sharpie as well, because it's not going to show. This is really just so that you can cut it out. Okay. And then the last one. All right, then you can do the same thing. Put a pin in the middle and just cut on your line.
What is the measurement for that you're doing right now?
It's 4.5 inches on each side. And all of these measurements are going to be in your in the written instructions too. So you know, like, don't worry about taking notes. If you want to, of course, go ahead, but it's all going to be in the instructions. Okay, so now we've got the pockets. Okay, so we'll put that to one side. And you're going to go back and get the inside and outside fabric and your interfacing. And we're just going to work with the fabric that you want to be the outside of your holder. Okay, so that's going to be this flowered one for me.
Excuse me, what was the measurement of the first one?
This is 6 inches on the long side. Oops, let me get in the frame. 6 inches on the long side and 4.5 inches on the short side.
Thank you.
Sure. And now we're going to sew the elastic on. So you'll grab your elastic. If it has 2 different sides, like this one does, you're going to take the side that you want to show. So in this case, I want the silver side to show, and lay it down so that it's the side you want to show is touching the bright side of your fabric. You look at this, you can see it's duller on that side. This is also called the right side. Okay, and you're just going to put this on top of your fabric. This piece of elastic should be wider than your outside piece. So that can be, it's 4.5 inches across here. So anything that's a little bit bigger than 4.5 inches is fine. Okay. And this is about as wide as as long as your first digit of your finger up from the edge. Let me put it on this side. There you can see. Okay, so the first digit of your index finger up from the edge, that's where you're going to put the elastic. Okay, so let's hold on there. Let me show you how to thread the needle so that, oh, I see somebody's in the waiting room. Let me see if I can admit them. I might be able to. Okay, good. Show you how to thread a needle and tie a knot so that we can stitch this on. Okay, so I'm back. Okay, and I have a needle here, and this is a great big doll making needle, right? So it's giant, but it means that it's easier for you to see what I'm doing. And you can just take your floss, right? I have a nice bright color, hopefully you can see. And the eye of the needle's up here. This is the sharp part, which you want to avoid. You can. And you'll just take your thread, hold it near the tip, and then you can either just push that through the eye of the needle, right? Or if it's giving you trouble, or if your needle has a small eye, you can also use a needle threader. And it looks like this. Okay, it has this silver part that you hold, and then there's a little wire loop on the end of it. And to use this, you just put the wire loop through the eye, which is really easy to do. And then grab your thread and put your thread through the wire loop, right? And just let it hang down a little bit like that so it doesn't, fall out. And then gently pull the needle threader backward like that, and that'll thread the needle for you too, right? So there are 2 different ways to do it. And once you have it threaded, then we still need to put a knot at the end of the thread so that the stitches don't come out. So to make the knot, you're going to even up your threads more or less, right? They don't have to be exact or anything. And then take the thread, wrap it around your finger, your index finger like that, and hold on, and you'll get a little loop like that. Then you take the ends of the thread, you put those through the loop like that, and then just pull. Okay, and then you'll have a knot, and you'll have your needle threaded, and then we can sew everything together. Okay, if there are any questions or you want me to repeat that, just let me know.
I would love if you could repeat that.
Okay, from the knot or the threading, or both?
The knot.
Oh, okay. So I was just cutting it off. All right, so you just will even up your threads, right? Take your index finger and wrap the thread around it, okay? So that you have your finger is like going through a loop. And then you're gonna hold on to the loop at the bottom like that, so that you have something you can look right through. And then take the ends of your thread, bring them up and through the loop like that. Okay, so it's, if I take my finger away, don't want to drop it, it looks like that. Okay, and then you just pull and you'll get a knot. Okay, and that's big enough to keep your all your stitching in place. Okay,
Perfect, thank you.
awesome, great. Okay, so now I'm going to put the camera back down and we'll start stitching this in place. Okay, so here we are with the elastic, and wait a second, looks like it hit. It's about a digit's length from the edge that we have the elastic. I'm going to pin this on too, just so that it doesn't move while I'm sewing. So same thing, I'm taking the pin, putting it through the elastic and through to the other side, and then bringing it up like that, so it holds the elastic in place and it won't move. Okay, I'm trying to make sure this is really in the screen. Everything is backwards for me. Okay, so now I have a needle here that's threaded already with this yellow thread that hopefully you can see. And what you'll do is start on the back of your fabric and just put the needle through so that it's going through the fabric and through the elastic. Okay, just put it through like that. And then pull until your knot stops your thread. So you'll have your knot sitting on the back like that. Okay, and then you're going to go all the way over to the other edge of the elastic. We're making one just giant stitch because this is just to hold the elastic on while we do some other sewing. Okay, so then you'll push through. The needle comes out the other side and pull. You're going to get one big stitch like that. Okay, and you can take the pin out now because now the stitch is holding that. But we still need to make a knot here so that this stitch doesn't come out. And the way that you make a knot, I'm going to show you a couple of different ways, but the first one is you make a tiny little stitch like that. And I'm just in the fabric. I'm not going through the elastic. Okay, just a little bitty stitch. Push your needle through. Okay, and then pull until you have a loop of thread like that. And just put your needle through the loop and pull down. And then you'll have a knot right there at the fabric that will hold that in place. I'm going to show you it again. So you can cut your thread. And when you cut your thread, you want to cut it so that it's close to the knot, but that you don't accidentally cut the knot off, which I have done before. So that's why I mention it. Then you'll put another knot in your thread again, same way that we did before. Okay, pull. And now we're going to do the same thing on the other edge. Okay, and now this will pretty much stay in place because you have your other stitch holding it. So I'm starting on the back, bring my needle up and pull, and then down all the way at the other edge of the elastic and pull, and I'm going to make another knot. Okay, so there's my little stitch just in the fabric. Pull until I get a loop, me make this a little bit neater for you. There we go. And just put the needle through the loop and pull down. Okay, and then trim off the threads. Oops, a little bit extra there. Okay, so once you have the elastic sewn onto the right side of your outside piece, then we're going to grab the inside piece and the pockets and make the inside of the holder. So you can put that other part to one side and grab your pockets, and you got 2 of them. All right, so there we are. And we're going to take the pockets. You can see that they have a bright side and a duller side. Okay, you need to put it like that, and then you can really see that one is brighter than the other. And you're going to fold this in half so that the bright side is showing on both sides, like that. And then just crease it with your finger. If you have an iron and you want to iron it, you can, but you don't have to. You could just crease it with your finger is fine. Okay, same thing on the other one. Okay, so then you've got your 2 pocket pieces, and we're going to take the inside of the holder and take the pocket pieces with the folded edge facing toward the middle of your holder. So this is the folded edge. This is the open edge down here at the edge of the holder. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and it already kind of starts to look a little bit, I'm going the wrong direction. There we go. Kind of starts to look like what the holder looks like, right? And I'm going to pin this in place, but you don't have to. I'm just doing it because it makes it so it doesn't slip around. So pin to one side, and it's holding that one. And then the same thing on the second pocket. Okay, and now we're going to sew this in place, sewing right across the bottom edge and across this edge. This is just to hold the pocket in place. Okay, so I have some red thread here that I think you'll be able to see. Okay, and I have the knot at the end, right? And we're going to do this the same way that we did the elastic. We're just going to make the stitches a little bit smaller. So I'm starting on the back, and I put my needle through. And the main thing, I'm sewing kind of close to the edge, but I want to be sure that I'm sewing all of the layers of fabric together. That's the main thing that you're paying attention to here. Okay, and then just pull until the knot stops the thread. And then you go over a little bit. So instead of the big stitch like we did before, you're doing about, I don't know, maybe half or even a third that size. Okay, so go over a little bit, put the needle in, and pull. Okay, and then you'll come over a little bit more, with the needle coming up, and pull. And you're going to continue that way, okay, all the way across. We're aiming for this side here. And just your small stitches right across. I hope my hand is not in the way. Okay, and this stitch here is called the running stitch. It's the stitch that most people, even if they think they don't know anything about sewing, they've either seen this or done it someplace in life. And it's pretty natural feeling. way to connect pieces of fabric together. Okay, I can take the pin out now. Don't really need it anymore now that I have a few stitches in. And I am going to check on the back of the fabric to make sure that I'm connecting everything, okay, and that my stitches are nice and flat. Okay, you don't want your stitches to be like loopy on either side, because then it won't be as strong as you want it to be to hold all of your cash and credit cards and other important things. All right, so you're just going to continue all the way across. We're almost across this one. Okay, and when you get to the end of this, it doesn't matter whether you come up on the pocket side or the other side of the fabric, which is wherever you end up, you're going to make a knot. So I'm on this side, so I'm going to turn this over. Okay, pull so everything's nice and flat. There we go. And then I'm going to make my little stitch and pull through. There's my loop. Needle goes through the loop and pull down. Okay, and then clip the thread. Okay, so once you've got the first one done, then you're going to do exactly the same thing on your other side. Okay, and you're sewing where the edges are open and loose, not where it's folded, because that's where we're going to put the credit cards and everything later on. Okay, so you'll sew on this side. And when you've done that, you'll have something that looks like this, right? So this is one I've done already, and that's why it's purple here instead of the powder blue. But I have the stitching on both sides. Okay. And after that, you'll grab your outside piece again, and there's where we put the elastic on, right? And you're going to turn it so that the right side, the pretty side of that fabric, is touching all of the pretty side of the pockets and the inside piece. So it's going to look like that. You're just going to stack it together. This is what it looks like on the other side, right? You can see the stitches and the duller side of this. Okay, then grab your interfacing piece, that white piece, and stack that on top. Okay, so we have kind of a sandwich with the three pieces, the interfacing, the outside piece, and the inside piece with the pockets. Okay, and I'm going to pin this in place. And this is the part where the pins are really the most helpful. Again, if you don't have them, you can just hold on to your fabric. But if you do, you can put a pin in the corners. So all the way through everything, right? And then bring it up. You can put pins in the corners, and it's really just helpful to keep stuff from moving around. Okay, and we're going to put one in these corners up here too. And when you get ready to sew this, you just want to be sure that you'll be sewing through all of the layers. So you see here where the layers don't quite line up. That's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll just be sure that we sew where the stitching will go through all of the layers of the fabric. Okay, I'm going to straighten this out just a little. Okay, so you got your 4 pins in each side, and then I'm going to draw myself a little sewing path or sewing line around the outside of this holder on all of the edges, except I'm going to leave a little opening on one of the long edges, kind of between where the pockets are, to turn this right side out. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. So I have a ruler. I'm not really measuring the distance from the side. It's about a half an inch or 3/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. All of that will be okay. I just am trying to give myself sort of a straight line more than anything else. Okay, so like that. And you can even eyeball this. So if you are not a ruler lover, just eyeball going all the way around. And just to give yourself a little guideline. Okay, and then when you get back to this side, remember that you're going to leave an opening here to turn it right side out. So I usually do like that. Sometimes I even make an X to remind myself to stop sewing there. Okay, and we're going to stitch all the way around here. I'm going to start going this direction because I want to show you what to do when you're sewing over the elastic. Let's see, I've got this thread here, which I think will show up well. Okay, so everything now is the same as we've done before. I'm going to start sewing right here. Put my needle through. Okay, and you're going to find that there's a lot of fabric here. You know, you've got the 2 layers of the pocket, the 2 layers of the inside and outside fabric, plus the interfacing. So just, you know, go slow and push your needle up and down. And when you get to the elastic, which is going to happen pretty fast, you want to be sure that you have several stitches in the elastic, because this is what gets the most. Okay, Rose, I see you've raised your hand. Just one sec. This is what's going to get the most stress and wear and tear. So you want to put several stitches in the elastic as you go across it. Okay. You want to be sure there's at least 2 or 3 stitches in there. So you can see how those are a little closer together than what we've done in others. Okay, let me come to Rose just a sec. Rose, can you just unmute yourself, or do I have to unmute you? You were unmuted, but now I can't hear you.
Unmute. Can you
There
hear
you
me
go.
now? Okay.
Now I can.
How far in from the edge are you sewing?
So I'm sewing about 3/8 of an inch from the edge. 1/4 of an inch is okay. 1/2 an inch is probably the widest you'd want to be.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, so then you're coming around. Again, just making sure that you've got several stitches in the elastic. And then when you get to the corner, now we can take the pin out. It's done its job. Right, you're going to come up and down, and then you're really just going to turn the corner. Okay, so I'm like that. Then I'm just going to turn and go this way now. Okay, like that, and just continue all the way around until you are back here. Okay, and when you get to this point, I've started one. Let me show you, because I want to do a slightly different knot here, and I'll show you why. So again, I'm continuing around, and here's where I stopped. I actually ran out of thread. So I made a knot here, and now I'm going to start again and sew to the end. Oh, that's something I wanted to tell you, is that when you have about 5 inches or so of thread on your needle, you want to go ahead and make your knot and then rethread your needle and start sewing again. When the thread gets very short, it's harder to make the knot. So that's why I stopped here. And got another needle threaded. That's also kind of another, let me use the yellow so you can see better. Little bit of a trick to know is that you can thread several needles if you have them when you start your project. And that way you can just grab another needle when you run out of thread. You don't have to get in the frame. There we go. You don't have to, feel like you're being interrupted when you were just on a roll or something. Okay, let me take this out. There we go. Okay, so I pulled again till the knot stops the thread. And now I'm going to continue down this last row. Okay, and when you are after you've sewn the first 3 or so sides, you'll find that you can actually put the needle in like this and then just bring it back up and pull your needle that way too. That's another way to make a stitch. And you can try them both. You just want to give yourself a chance to get used to sewing through so many layers of fabric. Okay. And I want to show you one other thing here. You'll notice that my sewing line here is a little bit below. You can see where the stitches are from where I sewed the pocket on. That's okay. Don't worry about that. You'll be able to take those stitches out if they show after we turn this right side out. So I wanted you to see that's no big deal if that happens. Okay, and here I am at the corner. Okay, and now I'm just gonna make the last little bit. And you can also see that I decided to go a little bit further. So happens to the best of us. Okay, 2 more stitches, I think. Okay. Just pulling to make sure that everything's nice and flat. And I'm going to check the other side. Yep, everything looks good. Okay, and so I'm going to, now I'm at my stopping point. So I'm going to make my knot on this side because that's where I ended up. And I want to show you a different way to do it because here I want the knot to be really nice and strong. So I'm going to cut my thread and give myself, I don't know, at least like 2 or 3 inches of thread like that. And then I'll take the 2 pieces of thread and tie them over like this and pull nice and tight and do that 2 or 3 times. And that gives you a nice secure knot. You can use this knot anywhere else too, but when we turn this right side out, there's going to be a little bit of extra stress on this area. So I want to be sure that it doesn't pull and accidentally pull my stitches out. Okay, and then I can trim. Okay, so now we're ready to turn this right side out already. So to do that, we're first going to cut off the extra elastic. So there's one. And the second one. And then I'm also going to trim a little bit of the corner off. Okay, can you see? There, okay, there we go. Okay, just a little bit of the corner off so that it's not as bulky when we turn this right side out. And I'm doing it on the side where I can really see my stitches so that I don't accidentally cut my stitches. Okay, one more here. Just little triangles that you're cutting off. Make sure that I can see where I sewed. All right. And now we're going to turn everything right side out through this little hole. And I'm going between the two, the inside and the outside fabric. And you just want to be patient, okay, when you do this part, because it's going to feel like it's too much fabric to go through that hole, but it will go. Okay. Somebody have a question? Okay, hold on, Rose. Go ahead and unmute.
Oh, it's not me.
Oh, your hand is still up. I guess that's what it is. Is it Mary? Okay, go ahead.
Hi,
Hi.
I got some really, or I was excited about some really thick denim. I see that's not going to work now because it's going to be too much. What do you think?
It's
thick.
How thick is it? Is it like jeans?
Yes.
So you can use it. You can
Mhm.
use it, but then you want to be a little thinner on your other fabrics.
Okay. How
Okay.
many can I get away with? Just maybe the outside?
Yes, you and I was going to say the other thing is with denim you won't need the interfacing. Okay, so just
okay.
use your denim and use your. You could probably still fold the pockets, but if you don't want to, I'll show you what you would do so that you still have a nice finished edge.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, just give me
Thank you.
Okay. This is the ugliest part of the whole project, is turning this right side out. I've tried so hard to figure out a pretty way to do it, but some things in life are like that. Okay, we're almost there. And just stay with it. It will definitely happen. Okay, there we go. And usually it kind of all starts to come together at once. Okay. And then just put your finger inside and poke out the corners. Okay, like that. And I'll show you again how to take those threads out if you have them too. Okay, so it's going to look like this. You can poke this side out a little bit more. Just put your finger inside, don't be nervous. This is really sturdier than it looks. Okay, good. Until it looks more like a rectangle again. And now all we have to do is close this little edge. Okay, and so grab one more needle with thread. And actually I have one already with a knot in it and everything. Here's the opening, right? The edges are going to want to turn inward on their own. So this is going to already be a finished edge. And all you're going to do is bring the edges together. There we go. Okay, so here's the hole, and you're bringing the edges together like that. And we're just going to stitch across with the running stitch. Okay, so the needle goes in, and you do want to start on the inside so that you don't have a knot on the outside of your bag or your holder. Okay, and then just stitch across. A few stitches, nice and close to the edge. Like that. And one more. And I'm going to make my knot on the inside, again, so it doesn't show. And I check to make sure everything's nice and flat on the outside before I make the knot. And this time you can go back to the other knot if you like. You can do either one, but there's the little stitch, pull through, I get my loop and pull. Okay. And then clip the thread. And I was going kind of fast, so I didn't pull everything or push everything out as much as I could have. But if you still have some, just take a needle. Your embroidery needle will be good for this. And you can pull the corners out a little more even after you're all done. Okay. And if you have some stitches showing, like these pink ones, I looked at the clock wrong. I actually had a few more minutes, so I would have just pushed that out with my fingers more from the inside. Okay, so if you have some stitches showing like this and they bother you, because you don't have to do anything, this will still work. But if you want to take them out, just come underneath one of the stitches with some scissors and cut it, and maybe go to the next one and cut, skip over one, the next one and cut, and then you can just pull these out, okay, like that. Okay. And you'll be able to get all of those out. And then, I know you're saying this is facing the wrong side, but when you turn it right side out like that, this is how it will look. And then when you close it, this elastic comes around and you'll see the pretty side if you have two-sided elastic. Okay, like that. Let me get some cards to put in it so that you can see that things do fit. And it's okay if it's a little bit snug, you know, when you just finish it, because it'll stretch a little bit as you use it. Okay, but it'll go like that. Ta-da! So you'll have your own that you can use. It's a great gift. And
Adorable.
Sorry?
Adorable.
Okay. It's
It is.
really cool. Sorry,
I
say
love
it again.
I love it.
Oh, good. It's really, it's great for adults and it's great for kids too, because they put their trading cards in these and, you know, carry things in them. So it's a lot of fun. So let me put the camera back up. There we go. And yeah, you can turn these out once you start going. You can make lots of them, and you can see they take no fabric at all, really. You can recycle things and all of that with them.
A quick question.
Yes.
If you're using a decorative elastic like you did,
Mhm.
should the decorative side be up or down when initially pinning it in place?
When you're first doing it, very good question. you want to have whatever side you want to show of the elastic should be touching the side that you want to show of the bag. So it's right sides together.
Okay.
Okay. And that's in the instructions too, because that is a big question.
Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else have a question or anything else? Oh, I know, I was going to show you what to do with the pocket. Okay, so if you're using the denim, and remember we got to this point and we folded the pocket over. So let me take this one off that I didn't sew. Okay, I folded that in half. Instead of folding it in half, just fold a little bit at the top and sew across there. Okay, just make, this is called a hem. Just make a little hem on the top of it so that the edge is finished, but it's not as thick. And then when you put it onto your fabric, though, you're going to have some extra at the bottom. Okay, because it's not folded. You can just cut that part off and then sew the same way that you would have before. It's just going to be one layer with a finished edge. Okay. Anybody else have a question? Okay, well, I'm going to be sending the library the instructions right after class, right after this workshop. And I don't know if they will email it to you or, you know, whatever means that they would normally distribute something. You will be able to get this and it'll walk you through everything just the same.
All right. Well, thank you,
Oh, thanks.
Ellen. That was super cute. That was wonderful.
Great.
Just so everyone knows, we put the winter reading code in the chat. It's going to be thread, so you get some extra points if you're participating in our winter reading. And just thank you all for coming.